Hello, and welcome to Alive on One, a Marvel Crisis Protocol and miniature gaming and hobbying podcast. I'm here today with Nick.
How we doing?
Oh, I thought you weren't going to say anything for a moment. I was like,
you
"Ooh."
paused, so I was like, oh, do I need to speak?
Yeah. So today, Steven will not be joining us. Other Steven, he is currently at work, so that would make things very difficult for him as he's a veterinarian and he's probably operating on dogs right now. So today, in general, though, we're talking about Defenders. So I know Nick and I are both very excited for this, and we'll try to keep it within an hour because we also both have things we have to do today. So I guess to start, we kind of also wanted to begin some of our episodes with some opening stuff. So generally speaking, Nick, what kind of comics are you reading?
Well, the most recent one I've been reading it's not a Marvel comic, so
Well, then don't talk about it.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I have never read the All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison, which is supposed to be one of the better Superman runs, so I've been going through that.
Oh, cool.
I've also been going through Donny Cates' Thor run the last few days as well, which has been pretty good.
I don't think I've read that one. I don't know.
It opens up with him being a herald of Galactus. So
definitely haven't read that. So
you should definitely read that one. It's really good.
Yeah.
And then the third thing I've been reading is I started reading, I think it's James McKay's Moon Knight.
Okay. I believe I do actually own that. I think I actually own the hard copies. Yeah. So, for those of you who aren't, in our immediate realm of conversation, I think Nick and I just recently downloaded Marvel Unlimited within the past couple months. And it's kind of a game changer. I was like, whoa, personally. So, if you haven't downloaded it, it's only $5 a month too. Which is great. Gives you the backlog of all the comics. So I've been catching up on a lot of stuff I just either didn't know about or, was meaning to get to. And buying comics can be a bit of a pain in the butt sometimes. You got to order the books. You have to wait, rather than immediate gratification on the app. So
that's true. Although the one thing I don't like about the app is you have to wait 3 months for any current comics.
Yeah. It's a resource for backlogs, I think, not new stuff. New stuff, just go and buy if it's easier.
Oh yeah, which I go every Wednesday.
Oh, nice. So I guess the question would come back to me too. I'm trying. So after listening to some of our podcasts, I notice I say a lot. So I'm going to try to tone that down today. So, fuck. Immediately I do it.
After. We're going to have an counter.
Yeah. It's something I'm trying to do in my yoga teaching too, but I don't do it as much, weirdly, in that setting. So, but anyways, I'm currently reading, what was I reading? So I'm reading a lot of books about magic. She's one of my, as everyone in our local group knows, she's kind of one of my favorite characters. She's also a defender, so that's cool for this episode. But well, she's listed in the affiliation. She does team up with Midnight Suns and Defenders occasionally. But so I've been reading a bunch of comics about her. I've just read a recent Midnight Suns comic that was really, really good. Had excellent art. I was also reading stuff since they announced, and so just as an FYI to everybody, we will have an episode very soon about all the new stuff. Not sure the order of release, so that might come first before this one, but we'll see, because there's a ton of changes within the game itself now, which we'll actually probably have to talk about here when we talk about our lists. But so Midnight Suns, reading that was cool. Reading the announcement where I was going with that is the announcement for Apocalypse came out. So I did end up watching that really bad movie out of the spirit of him releasing. But and then I read a bunch of comics. I read a really, really cool comic about his origin. The art is phenomenal. It's all like ancient Egyptian stuff. It's really cool. So I don't remember what it's called, but maybe even it's just called Apocalypse Origins. I'm not sure. But if you have time, check that one out. It's really excellent. The artwork is just before its time. It was written in, I think, the either mid 2000s or even maybe 90s. And the art's just, it looks like a modern comic. The art's really, really cool. So, yeah. And so we will go through too, I think every episode, what kind of hobby projects we're working on. So Nick, what are you up to?
The most recent thing I did was I built the Bad Batch Shatterpoint team.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Now we're apparently getting into Shatterpoint a little bit, so I'm sure there'll be some episodes in the future about that.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm also painting up some Seraphon, aka Lizardmen, for Age of Sigmar. Other than that, I need to get to Defenders, which I managed to actually prime after the horrendous humid weather we've had here in Maine.
Oh, nice.
They're finally primed.
I just did that this morning.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So hopefully Defenders will actually get some paint going soon. But that's what I've got going on for hobby stuff.
I actually put paint on a model.
Oh.
Don't go into cardiac arrest, but
I don't know. When's the last time you actually put paint on a model? Dormammu?
Dormammu, yeah. It was Dormammu. But I've been meaning to paint a lot of the pieces I use a lot too. So I'm going to start kind of with my spiders. So last night I put some paint on Miles.
He does not look fun to paint.
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of having a blast with him. So, yeah, we'll see. But on my painting deck, I brought so I had a lot of my paint stuff upstairs when I was working from home. I recently, transitioned from a job, and when I was working a lot from home, I was working upstairs on our table, and I had all my paint stuff up there. But I actually took the effort this morning of moving it downstairs, kind of cleaning up some of my space, having I think one of the important things too, we'll talk about this in a hobby episode, but just having your space set up to paint whenever you sit down is really important. So I brought a cup of water. It makes you do it more, in my opinion. So I brought down a cup of water, have all my brushes, have some paper towels, for dry brushing and whatnot. But a friend of mine's going to send me his airbrush too. So that's exciting. His gun, because I've needed a new one for a while. But yeah, so I really want to paint some MCP. Been inspired. I think it's kind of a cool sort of circle where you play a game of MCP, you get really inspired, so you read the comics, and then that inspires you, so you go to paint, and it's kind of this revolving door of hobby. So, and as personally, I've been diving deep into the X-Men. I didn't know, our friend of mine, Steven on this podcast let me know offline that they're going to release New Mutants, which is really, really exciting for me. A lot of people didn't know this about me, but they're one of my, when I got back into comics and stuff, that was where I gravitated. And so I'm really stoked for that and for Magic's leadership. Unfortunately, there's only one box coming out as of right now, but we'll see what they do with some of the current models too.
Yeah, I'm interested.
They don't really have New Mutants though. Oh, sorry. Yeah, they don't really have New Mutants though. They have Magic. Yeah, so hopefully they release more than one box, because an affiliation with 3 people doesn't typically work out very well. So, cool. So that being said, should we dive in to Defenders?
Yeah, let's jump right in. I guess we should probably start with Daredevil, because he's
let's start with why you pick this as your new primary affiliation.
Yeah. So let me just grab it. I'll forget the name of the card if it's not in front of me. So,
and hold on too. Yeah. So for those who don't know, Nick and I, unlike kind of the Shield episode, where Steven has been playing Shield for a really long time, and I played them for a few games just so I could kind of have some feedback with Steve. Versus from that context, versus now, Nick and I have both been experimenting pretty heavily with Defenders.
Yep.
With the recent changes, specifically that release of Shang-Chi and Silver Sable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why you, Nick?
So as we know, I've been getting a little bored with Guardians because I've been playing them for well over a year.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of gravitating to find something different, something a little bit different as far as play style is concerned. So I started looking around. I thought about maybe Spider Foes at first, but a bunch of other people picked that up at our local scene. So I was like, I'll hold off because I'm not a big fan of mirror matches. I like to play something different.
And they didn't even end up really picking them up.
No,
so
in the end they
good.
didn't. They played them for like a game, but that's all right. But I've always been a big fan of Daredevil. He's probably my favorite Marvel hero. If not, he's definitely the top 5 favorite Marvel heroes.
Yeah.
And he had recently had the leadership within the last year, so I was kind of interested in him then. But Defenders didn't really have a lot going on for them from what I could tell.
Yeah.
Until this most recent release.
Well, the change of Daredevil's card was a big shifting point. And before that, I don't know, sometimes you saw Blade as a leader. We'll get to him, I guess, but
yeah. Because the other leader, Doctor Strange, is currently not in a great spot. So he's not really a great pick for Defenders currently. But with the updates,
he was the kind of the staple for a while for their list,
But he was really the only leader they had up until Daredevil's rework.
Oh shit! Yep. I just said Blade, but Blade's only Midnight Suns, isn't he?
He's Midnight Suns.
Whoops.
Oh well.
Yeah. And so Strange's leadership too, because we'll start to just kind of dive in. I know Nick and I are super excited about this too, so we might just go around. We do have a structure, but so Strange's leadership is just switching the type of attack after you spend a power and gaining hex, which honestly isn't that bad, but it's not as good as rerolls, I think, which is Daredevil's current leadership. So
the other issue I have with Strange is I've discovered I don't really like a 5-point leader because I had experimented with X-Force a little bit, and as good as Cable is, I hated the 5-point leader tax.
Yeah, I mean, we have varying opinions on that, but
yeah, he's definitely good and you can make it work, but for the way I played, I'm so used to a 3-point leader.
Yeah. And so I guess to come full circle too, what drew you to being interested in Defenders? And this can be beyond just simple gameplay. Well, you mentioned Daredevil.
So yeah, the change to Daredevil where he's actually a valid piece now was big. Yeah. So I started thinking about that. But then when they started doing the previews for Shang-Chi, Silver Sable, Panther, and I guess to a little bit of an extent, Namor, who I'm not a big fan of.
You don't like Namor.
I don't like him. But the big thing that kind of pushed me into Defenders was Mystic Ward. That tactics card is amazing, and I think it's just really fun and unique, and only Defenders can take it. Yeah. So, the combination of Mystic Ward and the reworks to Daredevil is what drove me.
Plus your love for him.
Yeah, and I love Daredevil. So any excuse to play a character you like is always a good thing.
Absolutely. I think for me, I think it was after, I don't remember when I decided that I wanted to dive into. Oh, really? Well, you tell me then.
So it was when I was first getting into it, and you're like, well, let me play your list and let me see what I can do with it. So you were playing my list against my Guardians list, and after that game, you were sold. You really liked how they played, and that's
it was the stealth, I think.
Yes, that's the other thing.
Yeah. So, kind of one of the main, before we get into list breakdowns too, one of the main kind of talking points about Defenders and the way they play is they're very sort of similar to webs, and sort of. Mm-hmm. They're kind of a mixture of an attrition list as well as a webs type pushy pulley mission playing list. So I remember that, yeah, when I played that game against you, I already had a list that I was kind of working up. Um, and I remember being like, oh my God, the amount of stealth on this board. And then I think after the recent change where, what's that card called? I'm blanking.
Not fallback. Is it all webbed up?
No, the one that got banned.
Yeah, let me look. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Marked for Death. It's marked for
Mark
Death.
for Death.
Yep.
Yeah. Once Mark for Death got banned, I think they became even more powerful.
Yeah, I would agree.
um, so that was, but we had already been playing games with them before that even happened.
Yep.
So, but anyways, yeah. So I think few of the affiliation. So if you're interested in playing Defenders, there's some few things to look out. Like you're playing good guys, so you do get that. I know some people start off when they're picking an affiliation being like, are they good? Are they bad? Who do I want to, which side of the coin do I want to play?
Right.
B, you can run lists with Elektra and Daredevil,
Yeah.
which is so cool in my opinion. That hasn't happened for quite a while, and it's like relatively competitive, to be honest. So that's another selling point. But if you like attrition, I think they're very much all the characters and Defenders are very much they can take other characters on really well one-on-one, especially with the rerolls from Daredevil. But they also can have some play into E-maps. They are very close range, so a lot of the characters need to get up into the face of the opponent. So you kind of have to level that out with some defensive tech, primarily through tactics cards.
Yeah.
And Luke Cage if you use him. So
yeah, which we have some differing opinions on that.
Yeah. I just don't think he works for me. But anyways, we'll get there. So let's start off with kind of I can from memory kind of tell you the core of both of our lists, and then we can talk about where we're starting to differ.
Yep.
So Nick and I both in our list have as our core Daredevil, Shang-Chi, and Elektra, and Black Panther, chosen of Bast. So those kind of four solidify the core, and then we both have Amazing Spider-Man, Miles, and Pyro in our list, and Wong. Sorry, Wong's also core. And then after that, we're starting to play around with some splashes. I'm not even sure if you have Pyro in your list.
I do.
Not.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So for characters, that's kind of where you start. I'd say you take Elektra, you take Shang-Chi, you take Daredevil's leadership, and then you even just with those three, you can kind of play around from there.
Yeah, and I think Elektra and Bast Panther or Chosen of Bast are very interchangeable depending on the situation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we'll go through team tactics too before we get into a real deep discussion.
Yep.
So Mystic Ward is kind of a must take.
Oh yeah. If you're not taking Mystic Ward, I think you're playing Defenders wrong. It's so powerful.
Yeah. It definitely is. And I even think Street Smarts is also kind of a must take. And then from there, Pentagram of Farallah, if I'm pronouncing that right, is also probably should be in your list. Maybe not quite a must take.
Yep, it's in my list. I've yet to actually take it in my 5.
You need an E map or one of the more spread out maps for it to be effective. I'm also confused about the wording on it, but we'll get to that maybe later. But then briefly, those kind of are it. Well, we should note with the recent changes in the tactics cards, if you hadn't noticed, they kind of banned all the unaffiliated cards for the most part, besides the restricted ones. And so, primarily speaking, now when you're list building in general, not just for Defenders, you're kind of looking at just affiliated cards or character specific cards, which is good and bad, obviously. It makes it easier to build the list, but it also means like if you don't have a lot of I was rebuilding my webs list last week, and I noticed, they use mostly all unaffiliated because webs don't really have that many character specific cards that are entirely useful. So there's a couple in there now that I'm even thinking I'll probably never use. But that's just the way that it is these days. It's nice for the game. So all that being said, those kind of 3 or 4, Mystic Ward, Street Smarts, maybe Chi Mastery, Pentagram of Farallah, and then maybe like a Sacrifice or Brace in there.
Yep.
Now you're looking at kind of taking whatever you want based on the characters you have. So in my list, we both have Pyro, so obviously you take Pyrotechnics. Yep. But beyond that, it's kind of like up for grabs. So yeah, so that's kind of crisis cards briefly. Take experience if you're interested in defenders, maybe try experimenting with those. Also, I guess if you're taking Namor, there's 2 different styles. We should just get this out of the way. Yep. I think there's 2 different styles of defenders lists that we're seeing currently and that people are kind of working up. One being that sort of all EMAP defenders list with Namor, with some techier options. I think personally, and this is maybe going to get some flack, but I think that's kind of a one-trick pony list, and that's why I gravitated. I know, Nick, I've talked to you a lot about like the arguments as to why that won't work. I think using Namor to basically move up the board early game, grab a bunch of objectives, and like have him kind of move back or be exposed. I don't know. You get away with that once. That's kind of like Wakanda.
Yeah.
Once people learn how to play around that or bring a character who can push Namor away, I don't know, Claw, for example, end of his activation. Oh, I'll just push you away. So
if you go up against Bill, even like,
yeah, or Bill, throw you away, which does damage to Namor. I don't know. I personally don't think that's the way to go. If that's something you choose to do, fine. And I'd love to see it work. It doesn't work for me, though.
Yeah. I think you and I agree a lot on that. Although I kind of don't take Namor just on principle anyways. I hate that guy. But yeah, he's not the scary piece that we thought he was going to be. I've played against him a couple of times, and he just doesn't perform the way we thought he was going to. He has no immunities, and he's a 5-threat piece with no immunities that can be thrown around.
And when Apocalypse comes out, that'll be even more evident.
It'll be a problem.
But so that's one way. One list building is to take mostly EMAPs. And for those, again, I'll try to be beginner friendly. For those who don't know, EMAPs are the ones down the middle. So I think immediately after that game that we played, Nick, I was like talking to you about how the second way to play defenders is to essentially have kind of varied missions, but mostly you're aiming for extract play.
Right.
So what we realized pretty quickly is, as a good example, so defender Elektra's grunts can move up the table, send back an extract, and then Elektra gets to activate and move up the table and grab a second one. And so just as a quick example, that's a really good extract play. The ninjas die after they do that, which we found out maybe later than we should have. But, you're grabbing 2 for 1, basically. So you can even, if you wanted to get really fancy, move Elektra up to grab your opponent's. Eyes on the Prize is gone. Otherwise, that would have been a lot easier to do. But so anyways, you have these 2 main ways. You do mostly EMAPs, or you do kind of varied maps with like a focus on extract play. And the secures that you take in your list are a little bit more spread out. I always like putting Gamma in. I think they're really good on Gamma. I think defenders are really good on Gamma. Also really, really good on Senators.
Yes, Senators have been probably some of my best matchups, with the exception of the game I played into Steven with Shield when we drew. It was an EMAP. I don't remember if it was Gamma or
probably Demons
and Senators, and I got obliterated in that matchup. But
Demons are rough. This is also controversial, but I personally think Demons can be a little rough on defenders. They don't have a way to stop the incinerate.
No, they don't.
Besides stealth. So as your opponent gets closer, you're weaker. But anyway, so I think our lists have the same mission. So I'll just kind of read what we decided to take. So in my own list, it's Infinity Formula, which is kind of really spread out secures. It's Gamma, which is an E down the middle. and Riots, which is a diamond shape, but you can heal or remove damage, which is really good for defenders. And then for secures, and then in terms of extracts, we have Senators. That's 6 in the middle, or like right outside the middle. Struggle for the cube, and the reason I take that is because it allows them to really gain a lot of power if need be. And then Spider Infected, which I like because they are kind of a mixture of an attrition list with some of the techier pushing and pulling. So if your opponent's also getting pushed and pulled, that's really good. But also defenders have the amazing ability to be relatively speedy with stealth. So your runaway game is excellent. Once you grab that objective, if there's a character you don't really need to do too much damage, you just tuck them in a corner. And it's really good. Well, I will just rephrase. They're good at extracts and they're good at running away.
Yeah, they are. And we do have identical secures and extracts.
Okay. Cool. So is there anything else in terms of list you kind of want to chime in with,
in
Nick?
terms of lists, I'm not sure. I will say if you go up against Guardians or Shield, I think you're going to lose the EMAP game. Just because they have range on you and...
Yeah, so I guess one of the reasons, what you're kind of saying too, is one of the reasons that we pivoted towards not all E's is that there's 4 or 5 matchups. And I know Nick's kind of talking about some of our local meta, which is why those affiliations popped up. But there's 4 or 5 matchups where the E game is just not good. I can think particularly the Dark Dimension matchup is not good for defenders. They're just too flimsy, and Dormammu can hit you all at once. But in terms of more popular factions, things like Shield, things like Thanos Cabal, even, you're just going to get kind of smoked. And that is an argument for Hulk, but it's also an argument to look at your secures and extracts and think a little bit differently about how you use them.
Yeah.
And so I know I mentioned a while ago about them being really good at 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, especially with like equal threat or lower threat. And I think that's an advantage that defenders have that not all affiliations do. So that means if you take more spread out secures, unless you're playing maybe Asgard or something with kind of beefier characters, you can probably handle, dazing people when you need to score points. And that's what defenders do. They're kind of like Shield in the fact that they have a lot of mission playing tech, but they still need to kill things occasionally. And so with Daredevil's rerolls, you really have the ability, especially if your opponent is kind of having 2 or 3 characters all in one spot, especially late game, where they start to bunch up to control secures or extracts, you sit there and just tank them, So you've got some heavy hitters like Elektra can be very heavy hitter, especially when her power gets going. Black Panther is amazing. Chosen of Bast. He has that spender that turns into a builder, which makes him continually be able to do that. I know I've had games already where I've got that off twice because I used his spender, did enough damage or did like 1 or 2 points of damage with his spender, and then his builder gave him 4 power where he can then do that again. So it's pretty amazing. And that's really good on Gamma.
Yeah.
But so anyways, I guess anything we didn't talk about our splashes. So
let me look here. So
you have Luke Cage too, so you can talk a little bit.
Versus you not having Luke Cage. And Luke Cage, I haven't used him as much as I probably should. Although the 2 of the games I have used him in, he was probably the MVP, and one of them was against Shield.
Really?
So he kept Daredevil alive in my match against Shield, but he also ended up in Other Steven's backfield and was just a nuisance. He was back there. He turned off the points with Mystic Ward, and he was just a big body that was in the backfield being annoying. He ultimately died, but because he managed to get in the backfield, he was just a pain in the butt, and he kept my leader alive. So I think he's got play.
Definitely. And he's a defender, so he's not technically a splash.
So
but
he's not a splash, but it is a difference between our lists. And the nice thing about him is you get heroes for hire, but you can also take sacrifice. So you have two ways of shunting off an attack to a less important piece if you need to.
Which is always useful, I think.
And I think it's especially useful in defenders, because if you look at in-affiliation defenders, most of them are very squishy.
Yep.
They have some good defensive tech, but most of them don't have more than 5 HP.
Yep. They're very low health. They're very... you kind of get really penalized with defenders if you're exposed too much against other attrition teams, like S.H.I.E.L.D., for example. Yeah. Shang-Chi's a little tanky, but he's like the only one.
Yeah, but even with Shang-Chi, he's only got 5 HP, right?
Yeah, that's true. I think we played that game round 1 of the tournament while I was TOing, and I believe I just like aced him.
Yeah, he got smacked down. And that's the other issue with Shang-Chi. He has to be within that range 3 to get his defensive tech. So if you're outside of range 3, a team like S.H.I.E.L.D. or Guardians or some of the more range-based teams can pick him off pretty easily.
Yeah, and he doesn't have stealth unlike all his buddies. Yeah. So, and then I know for me personally, I've been splashing. So we both have Miles in our list. I think that is evident why Miles has a steal.
Yes.
Duh. And he's actually a really good, when we played too, or I had him in my shield list, and I actually think Miles is a really good backfield, especially now that no matter the cost is gone. So you can take him and hold your kind of back point, and then, turn 2 or 3, you start to move him out to steal whatever extracts that your opponent holds. Again, with the intention of defenders being an extract-based play team.
Yeah.
So you can really outpace your opponents, especially on lower scoring maps like 3 or 4 secures, so that you can come up and steal the objective and then start running away, basically. So
he's good at that. He has stealth.
Yeah, he's very good at that. Yeah, Miles does have stealth.
And wall crawler, which wall crawler is actually pretty prevalent in at least my list as well.
Yep, to hide behind buildings. We should talk about that. I always forget because I just think I take it for granted as kind of a webs player now. But one of the amazing things about wall crawl, especially playing against smaller characters where there's not a ton of throwing going on, is you can essentially move out, ignore the terrain, do whatever you need to do for the mission, and then move behind the terrain so no one can actually see you. Because a lot of these characters who have wall crawl are also very small. So it's using the terrain to your advantage. In MCP, it's a lot harder sometimes to do that than like other game systems, like 40k terrain. Like competitive 40k is like you hide behind terrain until you want to expose a unit, basically. It's not so much like that in MCP, but you can use the terrain to your advantage.
Yeah.
And so we talked about Pyro. So we should talk a little bit more about him because he's not in affiliation. So why take Pyro, Nick?
Well, he dishes out Incinerate like nobody else does in this game, as far as I can tell, / my experience back when I was playing Brotherhood. But Pyrotechnics is also a big deal.
So he's push tech, and he push technology. Tech is the slang for those new to the game. I realized after recording and listening and editing the S.H.I.E.L.D. episode that Steven sometimes talks a lot in the slang.
He does.
So I'm really trying to dial that back, because I do know as a point of entry into some of the podcasting world for MCP, it's really tough as a newer player to listen to people who are experienced who start throwing around slang. I don't, it sounds like a different language, to some extent.
Yep.
So
I agree.
I'll try to dial that back or reframe everything. So push Pyrotechnics, which is Pyro's card, which is even more useful now that you can't take a lot of other cards because it's a really good one. Essentially hands out Incinerate and pushes everyone away from Pyro. So he can kind of walk down the field and get everyone off of an objective.
Yeah, and then with Pyrotechnics, it'll also cause any character to drop an objective if they're affected by it, which is pretty nice. Right. So it's
another extract play.
It's not really a steal, but it still will take some extracts away from people.
Yeah, which is what you want. So you have 2 or 3 ways to kind of do that. You have Miles and Pyro, which I think makes the list even more tankier.
Yep. And the other nice thing about it is it's a variable cost. So you can use it for one character that has an objective, or you can use it for the whole team. As long as you're within range 3 and they're on fire, you spend a power, push them away, and they drop an objective, which is great.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's nice to have options like that because the situation doesn't always arise, or often doesn't arise, where you need to spend it on 3 people, unless you're losing pretty hardcore, I guess. Yep. Okay, so the last piece, I mean, there's so many pieces you could splash in Defenders. I want to make that clear so you can play around. But I know one that I want to bring up personally, especially now that Mark for Death is gone, against Nick and I have talked about kind of a mirror, obviously, because we might end up playing each other at some point, although I switch factions a lot, so maybe not. But Gwen, or Ghost Spider, I think without Mark for Death, she becomes almost the solution for stealth. There's no one else really that can pull characters, and she's really good for Defenders because she can pull characters closer to maybe one of your heavy hitters. She can play the secure game where she's pulling multiple characters in a turn off of like secures you can't touch. So you couple that with the card that turns off so you turn off their backline secure and then pull everyone away from their other one. And now you're ahead by 2 or 3 points just from Gwen.
Yep.
So I think she's an interesting piece. And then that's my entire list. So do you have any other pieces you'd like to mention of note?
The last splash in my current list is the Black Widow. So the new core box Widow. And so I haven't gotten to experiment with her much yet, but she has stealth. She dishes out shock, which could be useful.
Yeah, that definitely could be useful.
But I think one of the big things with her is, so if you're playing the extract game with your Defenders lists, she has the ability where when she is KO'd, she chooses where the extract goes, which I think could be pretty helpful.
That's really, she's definitely a good option. I totally agree. And so last episode, we talked about what kind of things you look for S.H.I.E.L.D. To be affiliated. And one of the things Steve mentioned was long range. Right. And I think in Defenders, you're looking, at least now, the way that they're kind of structured right now, you're looking for some sort of stealth, you're looking for some kind of extract play, or you're looking to make up for the fact that you're not too particularly strong on the secure game. And so you're taking pieces that kind of allow you to do those things a little better. So you're leaning into sort of the thematic of the faction. And I think that kind of topic will come up as we talk about factions more and more, is, okay, what does this faction do really well? How can you lean into it with certain pieces? And so we're both bringing into account a couple of really good pieces for that option.
And she also fits well because she has martial artists, and so she wants to be within range 2 anyways. So she fits the Daredevil leadership really well for that.
Yeah, because not only does she get more offensive, but she also gets more defensive within that range. So it's kind of a sweet spot for the leadership.
She has a good stat line. She's a 4-3-4 with 6 health.
Oh yeah, New Black Widow's amazing.
That's a long move.
New Black Widow is amazing. Yeah, she's a backline bully too. So on the turns you're not turning off their objectives, she can harass sort of your opponent's secures. Or, another play here is like you take Pyro up, he makes everyone drop, and then you turn off one of these extracts that you can't grab. That's kind of like it's a feel bad moment for your opponent, I would guess. So definitely always mention that you have that card if you're going to play Defenders, because that can be a very feel bad moment. You can do what?
And on that subject, you should always allow your opponent to look at the 5 you've chosen. Like, that's just good etiquette. So.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, and make sure your health is visible.
Yes.
This is all sportsmanship stuff.
Which we should probably have an actual episode about that at some point. I think it would be important.
I agree. It's really important to me, and part of the reason why I left 40K. So I definitely think we should talk about it. And we have a lot of episodes coming, hopefully. So we're just all trying to find the time. There's been a lot of requests, actually, mostly to Steven, because he's the most well-known out of us. But
people have been reaching out to Steven a lot after the first two.
He's also the one who's been posting the advertisements, so it makes sense.
And he's in like every Discord community there is. So
he also, fun fact, since he's not here and we're giving him shade, he listens to every podcast fucking imaginable about Marvel Crisis Protocol. So
and he would actually have a completely different take on Defenders. He's pro E-maps with them based on what he sees.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, I mean, Steven and I have a lot of disagreements in terms of play, and he'll see why when I play Dormammu against him. But anyway, so we'll move on. So this part will be on YouTube. I'm going to this week create the account and launch the shield tier ranking. I'm just going to cut down the video, so I'll do the same thing here. So if you can see my screen, I have all the defenders listed up. So we'll just go through and kind of one-on-one briefly sort of talk about where we think they are. Oh, the A and the S tiers are switched, so I'll just notice that. Just switch those back. Crap.
Do you want to go in order that they're appearing, or do we want to just go for it?
Let's just do the order they're appearing, and if things come up, we can move characters. So I have like a cutoff for YouTube. I'll just say, welcome to our Defenders tier list.
Okay. You're going to get the whole experience.
And for those of, and exactly. And for those of you who are... Exactly. Well, yeah, and exactly. It's kind of just a snip so they can listen. And for those of you who are listening, please ignore the clicking noises, and we'll talk about where they're going, and we'll be very specific about where we're putting them, so you have an idea even just listening to this. So we'll start with Daredevil.
Okay.
So Daredevil right now. In terms of categories too. So S is like the building blocks or foundation of the list. A is like maybe you don't take them, but you probably do. And then B is like optional, and then C and D you just kind of never take. And then F is like, why does this model exist? So we'll start off with Daredevil. He immediately goes up to S. And for those of you who don't know, we'll just briefly go over Daredevil's leadership. The reason why you're taking Daredevil is because his leadership's really good. His leadership reads, once per turn, an allied character may reroll a number of its attack dice equal to the number of enemy characters within 2 of itself. So it's just free rerolls. Keep in mind that all defenders, or not all, but most have range 2 or 3 attacks. So they want to get close, and he provides you with some extra attrition because of that.
Rerolls are always good.
Yeah, they're one of the strongest mechanics in any game because they actually throw off the math quite a bit. So keep that in mind if you're new. And so Chosen of Bast, I want to put him in S personally, but I actually think he's probably an A. I don't know if you need him all the time.
I think he's bottom of S, top of A. I don't know if he makes it into S because if you go up against Convocation, he's useless. I found that out the hard way in our last Raft game.
Yeah.
And that's because he's all mystic. So he's not going to do anything to that team.
He is a 3 on a big base with a lot of attacks. I actually think maybe, like, I don't know. I don't want to think about this too much because there's a lot of characters, but he might even be in B.
I don't know. I've had extremely a great success rate with him, minus my defenders.
Yeah, and honestly, I love him. I think you buy that box not for Namor, you buy that for Black Panther.
He's also a 3 threat on a medium-sized base with a medium move
so that
with
alone,
stealth.
And so one of the plays that we talked about is, and we'll bring Black Panther into this, we talked about Elektra's grunts passing back an objective. One of the few pieces that the grunts can do that with is him because of his giant base, at least on senators. So I think he's particularly useful when you're going to be running on senators. So yeah, maybe.
And he also has pounce, which is a big deal.
Yep. Yeah. So he throws himself.
Any movement shenanigans in this game is excellent.
Well, throws, a self throw is really good because it also does
damage, and that character won't suffer the damage. It's great.
Yep. So let's move on to Blade. I actually don't know too much.
I'm looking at his card. I don't think Blade's very good, personally. I don't think you take Blade unless you're running Midnight Suns leadership.
Yep. So I think maybe he's probably a C.
I don't know. I don't think you ever take Blade in a defender's list.
Well, B is optional. C's like probably not, but he's not inherently bad.
No, but
he has his pursuit.
Yeah. So from a character standpoint, he probably sits at a C. I think if we're solely looking at a defender's list, he's probably a D.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that actually. So yeah, I mean, I'm just reading his card. It's not particularly amazing for defenders. Okay, and then Elektra. I think Elektra goes up to S.
She's an S.
I think I would take her most games. So, I guess I would put her there. And the grunts are in S. No, they are really good though.
So, I think the big thing with Elektra is she has grunts, right? And she's really our only. Access.
She's got extract play. Yep, she's got that. She's got extract play. Her spender, despite being 5 power, you do get that off around turn 3 or 4 most of the time, and it's just so devastating in combo with the ninjas.
Yeah, in combo with the ninjas.
So she just aces.
And then you throw in Daredevil's leadership.
Yep. Yeah, plus she's got the place, her normal builder has the place within 1. Oh, no, sorry, that's the ninjas. I'm reading that wrong. But she's got Pierce. She gains a power.
I think you're thinking of Assassin.
She's got martial hours. No, I was just reading something wrong.
You spend the 2 power. She places within 1 if she does damage.
Yep, and actually a kind of underrated power or reactionary superpower, in my opinion, is the slap back. Roll 5 dice, slap back. So if someone targets her with, something less than ideal, like even their spender, sometimes they'll just spend that power because it's like, they take 2 damage for no reason, and it can be really, really useful in those scenarios.
It's also a 5 defense roll, 5 die defense roll.
Yep.
And it doesn't care what type it is.
Yep. So sometimes you just take that for the extra defense dice, to be honest.
She's also stealth.
Yep. So she fits with the theme. We could say a lot. We love Elektra here.
And I think she's also psychic. She has a psychic attack, or mystic attack, I should say.
Her builder is
it's a gainer.
Yeah, it's mystic.
Yeah.
Gainer, yeah, sorry. I'm not good on... So gainer means you gain 1 power. Builder means you gain power equal to the damage dealt. And spender means you gain usually no power. Okay, cool. So... The 5 threat strange. And we haven't talked about the reason why you don't take 5 threats in defenders, in our opinion. So we'll go over that real quickly. I think defenders work best with more models. They just can spread through the board. A lot of them are very punchy, and a lot of them can handle other, even punch up. So a 4 threat in defenders can sometimes take out a 5, most of the time, in fact, with the rerolls. So because of that, you don't necessarily need a 5 threat because you just want more bodies to run extracts. Because typically in a game, at least for me, I usually run away with at least 1 or 2 people once they're holding extracts. So that kind of like starts, decking down your pieces to play the secures. So you need more bodies in order to successfully do that.
Agreed.
So I think Steven has some interesting play. So I think maybe in a different style list, especially an EMAP list, you take him possibly to hold kind of the midline backline. But he's still expensive. So I don't think he's never taken, but he's an option.
He's an option. I think you take him as a leader if you take him, right?
Why? Daredevil's is just
His
so
is
much.
better,
Yeah, that's a totally different
but what do you
style.
take him for under Daredevil? Is because he doesn't want to get
Stagger.
but you have Shang-Chi.
Oh, right. Okay. With Shang-Chi, we put him at a C, I think.
Exactly.
And this other Stephen Strange also C. He's more of the convocation
Yeah, you've
Strange.
seen
He
him a
works
lot in
better there.
Convocation.
Yeah. Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, I would put at an A. I don't know if you take him very often.
I think that's
you
a
think
B.
he's a B?
By definition, I think that's a B. By what
Yeah,
you just
I think
said.
you're right.
Yeah, you
The
don't
way
take
we're
him
doing
often.
it, he would be a B. He's not even in either of our lists.
Yeah.
But he's good.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean just because it's not on our list that it's not something you can experiment with. So he also combos well with Pyro because he's handing out Incinerate for free with his beam, which I just realized is really good.
Yes, I mean,
A good combo.
Good.
So,
but again,
yeah.
I don't think he really cares about necessarily being super up and close. He is a 5 threat.
Plus, if you're gonna take Ghost Rider, why wouldn't you just pay the extra power for our next character, which is Hulk?
Yeah.
So, I think they're both Bs. They both sit at a B.
I think so.
Normal Hulk and Ghost Rider. Yeah, they're options. They're definitely interesting. Okay, so Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi's definitely an S. I don't think you...
Yeah.
I think your core is always going to have a Shang-Chi.
Yep,
and Daredevil. I think you even have Shang-Chi as your core if you run Strange as your leader.
Or if you're running the EMAP version with like Namor.
The reason for Shang-Chi is he gets stagger off very easily, at least for me.
Mm-hmm. He pushes all the time.
He can move himself
off the objective. So he's another kind of form. See, that's the kind of the argument too, Nick, for not bringing Black Widow is Shang-Chi performs a similar role. He's a backline
But I think
bully,
your downside with Shang-Chi is he will die a little bit easier than Widow. He's got very good defense, and he's good against mystic attacks.
And physical.
But I think you take Shang-Chi primarily for his ability to stagger enemy characters, so he can punch up very easily, especially if you take Chi Mastery, the tactics card for him.
Well, so the combo of staggering and pushing away, because remember I did that to Bill in one of our games?
Yes.
Bill was like close to Shang-Chi, and I just pushed him away, and he was staggered. So instead of it takes away their whole activation when you do that, because they have to move.
And don't forget.
And they have to shake.
When you do that push, if they make contact with terrain, they're also stunned. So more often than not with Shang-Chi, you're going to get a stagger stun.
Stagger stun push.
And that's for 1 power.
So... Yep. he might actually be a problem in general. We'll see what happens, but Shang-Chi is very good. He's even better in defenders with the rerolls. He has a 6 dice builder for a 4 threat with rerolls with Daredevil's leadership. That's kind of insane.
So the chances of you getting off his stagger ability is pretty high.
It's like 30%. Well, it's only 30%.
But still, with the rerolls, like...
Yeah, that's true. And you could take, as an option, we didn't talk about Chi Mastery, but you could take that card in your tactics cards, which allows you to switch 2 of the dice, so you automatically get the stagger.
Or you use it just to finish character off.
Or do extra damage.
He's definitely S. You don't play defenders without him, at least currently.
Yeah, I agree.
And I might even put him above Daredevil as far as like ability.
No, I mean, you
have to have Daredevil, leadership. But Shang-Chi's definitely a better piece. He's a better piece.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but Daredevil is leadership. You need him. So, okay, Immortal Hulk, probably a D. I just think he's too expensive.
I don't have a lot of experience with Immortal Hulk. Every time I play against an Immortal Hulk, he's pretty easy to ignore. And usually your opponent is very low model count, and with defenders, you're
just going to run away on the extra X. Yep, totally agree. Amazing.
I think he's
in both. I think he's A. He's really tanky. He has a ton of mobility, and he's one of the few characters, if you didn't know this already in the game, because he has his base is so big with an L move, he's one of the few characters that can move to the middle, grab an extract, and move back. And so, there's a reason why he's taken in webs a lot, but he's also Defender's affiliated, which is amazing. He is amazing. So he's they definitely got his name correctly on his stat sheet. Okay, so we got to move relatively quickly here. We have so many characters. This Defenders is a way bigger affiliation than yeah. So let's go through the ones that you won't take first. Moon Knight.
I would love to take Moon Knight, but outside of just my love of Moon Knight, I don't think you play him.
He's too unreliable. I kind of like his rapid fire, and he's got stagger, but it's a 3 trigger stagger.
Yeah, and he's only got his builder's a 4.
Yeah. So I think C is fine with him.
Although if you do need another stealth option, he is stealth and wall crawler, which is great.
Yeah. So everyone, I guess we'll talk about him a little bit more. Everyone with Moon Knight tells me, so when I was running him in a raft league with Dormammu, because I was really impressed by his card, and everyone's like, well, his multiple personalities never works. I'm like, you don't take him for that. You ignore that, and if it happens, it's really useful. But basically, he's got a push, size 2 push, he's got a rapid fire, and he's got stagger. So despite he's got a 4, so a good combo with stealth characters is having a range 4 attack with stealth, meaning you can attack them and not really get hit back, or get hit back once if they move. So having that kind of combo makes him like a decent character, in my opinion. I even think like maybe we put him in B because maybe we're just missing some. Maybe someone can play around.
He's got some use.
With him. He's only a 3 threat too, so he allows you to go wide. So maybe he's got some play. And so same with Magic. I think she goes in B as well. No, she's too beautiful.
I actually thought of maybe running Magic. I don't remember why I thought about running Magic, but card. That's what it was.
Yeah. So she has a card that lets you teleport. It's called Journey Through Limbo. Now that's even more powerful because there's such limited cards now. The list building structure of taking characters who have really good cards is like more acceptable now that the unaffiliated cards are gone. So I think she becomes definitely an option because Journey Through Limbo can help basically push away any kind of threat. Like in the Shield matchup, she just throws Nick Fury away. All right, cool. Where you're relying on your leadership, bye-bye. So
and she has a mystic builder. Soul Sword is actually pretty good because it has Pierce and it's 5 dice, and then under Daredevil's leadership could be even better. So
she also hands out Incinerate and Bleed. She can limbo step herself, which gets her around the board. She's very fragile though, so she's super hard to use.
That's in theme with Defenders though. They're all pretty fragile. The big thing is she has no defensive tech, right? So
Sacrifice is good on her. Luke Cage could be a good combo with her too.
Yeah, I think she's definitely a B. She's definitely considerable. I'd probably actually take her over any of the other 3 if you wanted to put her at top of B.
Oh yeah. Yep. I do think she's top of B. Namor.
F. I hate that guy.
This is controversial. We'll just leave him in. We'll leave him in F. I mean, realistically, he's probably
a B. I think you have to build specifically for him.
Yeah, in our version of Defenders, I don't think he has a place, and so I think technically speaking, I'd probably put him in C or B.
I think most people are running him with a stone.
Yeah, which is a 6
Is
threat
he better
too,
with or without the stone? Like, is stone Namor a B and non-stone Namor is a C? Like,
let's just leave him in B because I don't want to talk about it.
We're not big fans of Namor here.
He's fine, but like his character is so fucking lame that like
that's part of it. I don't like the character.
Merman!
For anybody that watches Rick and Morty, all I can think about is it Mr. Nisbet or whatever his name is there.
I just think of Zoolander. He's even doing like the Pierce face. or blue steel. You know, he's like making that puckered lip face. So he's also one of the worst comic characters known to man. So
yeah, we're Namor haters on this channel. So,
and I know like top. So here's the thing about him, rules wise. I think you have to structure your entire game plan around Namor. I don't like lists that do that, personally. I think if you take Namor, you have to bank on him working, and then the matches he doesn't work, you're kind of fucked. And he's not attrition-y enough to kind of... So, like, Dormammu's the same way, right? In Dark Dimension lists, if Dormammu stops rolling well, sometimes you lose. I don't think you lose all the time, but sometimes you lose. And I think Namor has a similar structure where but he doesn't have a ton of damage output. Like, he's got some, obviously, but...
I mean, his builder is 6 dice, but who cares?
Like, yeah, but you have Shang-Chi.
Exactly.
You don't need that
Shang-Chi's
shit. Yeah, plus...
6 dice builder that has a better effect.
Listen, anyone who has a special ability called Wave of Turtles, get the fuck out of here. Swarm of Crabs, isn't that what happens in the bedroom? I mean, you know,
we are talking about Namor here, so
sorry. Yeah, we both really don't like Namor, but I bet Steven will end up taking him just because that's what he does. So
there are people in our local meta that were very hot on Namor when he came out, but they seem to have kind of tossed him away.
Yeah,
he's just not good.
He's too unreliable, I think, is the real issue. But anyways,
enough about that guy.
We'll move on to So Wong, I think, is S.
Yes, I agree.
We don't need to say too much about him. Valkyrie, probably D.
I don't
C,
know.
B.
I want Valkyrie to be better because back at the start of MCP, she was so good. And it was because of her throw, but her throw is now way more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, she's gaining 2 power a turn, which is good. I just don't see a role for her either in this,
and especially
list.
Where we no longer have access to Eyes on the Prize.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, maybe a C. Luke, probably in the A category, maybe B with magic as well. I'll put him in A because Heroes for Hire is, you can stack a lot of defensive tech in Defenders lists. So, okay.
Don't Ancient know enough about the character as far as a gameplay.
She's got a lot of mystic attack. She can place. She pushes. She's got... I don't know. I don't know enough about her, so we'll put her in C.
I don't know enough about her. I feel like if you're taking mystic attacks, you're taking the new Black Panther or you're taking Elektra. They both have great mystic attacks. Or
Also, let's think in terms of threat level. Yeah, she's a 4. You're already pretty heavy on those. You have 3 up here in your sort of SA tier. That's already 12 points if you take Daredevil, Shang-Chi, and Elektra. So that put you at 16.
You're heavy on 4s, I think, in this affiliation.
4s, yeah. And so having more 3s and 2s that you can splash in are super good. That's why Wong is also S, because this is a 10 core.
Not to mention, he
10-point core.
So you don't have to bring in patch up.
Yep. I don't think anyone brings
It's definitely not seen nearly as much in the general anymore.
I do sometimes with Dormammu, depending on how I'm feeling. But, okay, Clay.
Also
Clea.
Another character I know very little about as far as gameplay-wise.
She's good on demons. So she's probably end of B. Because she's immune to Incinerate.
But
I've never used her, though, Nick. So I have really no...
Unless...
well, not in our list. But I do think she's a 3-threat with like decent mystic defense. She hands out bleed. She can hand out slow, stun, and stagger as well. She also has the same thing that... oh, no, never mind. She's got a size 2 throw. I mean, that could be useful. Maybe top of C, I guess. Hawkeye, I don't think
I don't think he has a place in this list.
No, not at all. He's cheap.
He's cheap, but he's not cheap enough because, I mean, he's going to sit on your back point, if anything.
Well, the other problem with him, too, and I know this is defenders only, but Hawkeye, like when you're considering what he does, he's kind of a long-range backfield holder. You're going to take a different like you're going to take an unaffiliated piece over him, like
or
Miles,
Wong is
for
going to hold
example.
that back spot.
Yep. Correct. Iron Fist, I think we throw him right next to Luke Cage because I think they both have play in different
and
ways.
They both can utilize heroes for hire if need be.
Yeah, and they use it differently. So, like, Luke typically uses heroes for hire and doesn't die necessarily, but Iron Fist is pretty weak. But when he uses heroes for hire, he has enough power to clap back with his Iron Fist attack. Usually, so he'll get a turn where basically he just smacks everybody. So,
and also, I forget this, but he gains an extra power every power phase. So getting 2 power every power phase.
I actually think I might start.
And he's got martial arts.
I'm reading his
well.
card,
so he gets his blanks. So
I kind of like
think
him.
He's good. I think another 3 threat's good. I think if you take him, you have.
Plus, he's a really cool character. Yeah. All right, Punisher.
Again, I don't think he serves a role. Really?
He has that extra VP, but
I think you have
I
to take a tactics card for that, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, but nowadays it's not that much of an issue.
I don't typically take those type of cards myself, but
yeah, I love Punisher. He's also one of my favorite characters. So it sucks, but I think for now you just have better options within your 3 threat. Scarlet Witch, D. I don't see
not
ever
in this.
taking her.
I mean, I loved Scarlet Witch. Was great back in the day. She's a glass cannon, but she's a 5
too
threat.
Expensive.
And I think if you're taking a 5 threat, you're taking amazing.
Yep.
Or Hulk, or you just go up to 6 and take Hulk.
Yeah. Okay, so Silver Sable, probably high B.
Yeah, I think Silver Sable's probably a 5B. She's going to be a back point holder for sure. She really,
but she's pushing people closer towards other characters, which is
It's definitely, I think, matchup dependent who you're up against. It's also terrain layout dependent because she really wants to be perched on a piece of terrain. But I think she's good. Yeah. And she also has a similar tactics card to Punishers, but I think you can technically get 2 victory points out of it. Yep.
Oh yeah, correct. Oh yeah, so that's probably actually pushes Punisher down to D, to be honest, because there's a better option.
Although Punisher's 3 points versus 4, right?
She's only 4.
No,
I don't
she's
think that
4. He's 3.
Much. Yeah. Right. I still think that pushes him down.
2 victory points, I think, can swing a game a lot more than 1. Personally.
Yeah. Okay, so this guy, he's probably actually an F. He's probably our only F.
Core box.
No one takes that.
Original core box, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We already talked about him last episode, so we'll just move on to Wolverine. Oh, also, the movie's out yesterday.
Tomorrow.
So he goes to S. Right? Yeah, I'm going tonight. Yeah, with my roommate. So
Wolverine.
Should be fun.
I think Wolverine was an A until we lost exceptional healing, and a low A at that.
Yeah, he goes in B. I still think he's pretty solid. I do think other affiliations use him better. So yeah, we'll just kind of leave him in B. I don't think there's enough to be said. He's he moves really quickly. He hits things very hard. But without exceptional healing, he did take a little bit of a
nerf. Also, when he flips, he's no longer an objective piece in any way, shape, or form. Like, he can't hold objectives. He can't secure objectives. He's, at that point, a murder machine. And I think as much as defenders are a little bit of an attrition team, they're as much an extract team.
Yeah. And, like, to be honest, let's look at how many other people you would take above him.
And honestly, I think you might put Hulk above Ghost Rider.
Oh yeah, I'm not being too specific with the actual order in the tiers, but yeah, because like technically, I would put her above.
I think those two are very interchangeable.
And the Hand Ninjas would go before Daredevil.
For anybody who doesn't know MCP very well, if grunts are actually phenomenal.
Yeah, remember the game where I got 2 grunt attacks, I had like
Yes, I
9
do remember
successes
that.
in total. You're like, I'm
I
still
am still
traumatized.
traumatized by that.
So yeah, this is a pretty good thing. Are there any sort of final notes that you want to make about Defenders?
I think the big thing with Defenders, at least from what I'm seeing, like, because I've looked at some of the top players' lists, I've looked at our lists, we've discussed stuff with other people. I think Defenders are very versatile in how you build them and how you can make them work.
Yeah,
Some
I agree.
plays I think are going to be better, or some versions of lists will be better. Personally, me and Steve are big on the extract play. Steven would tell you he likes the E maps.
But Steven
Yep.
always likes emaps.
Yeah,
That's all he
and
does.
actually, a
I'm just
lot of
kidding, Steve.
the like the best players for Defenders are leaning pretty heavy into the E maps. They are
They're doing
doing
both.
but
The one you sent me.
that guy
yeah.
is the best. I don't remember his name, otherwise I'd shout him
So
out. But he has the highest ranking for Defenders currently.
Also, caveat, I do think a lot of people are attaching on to E's because it's easy.
E's are easy, but they're boring. I'm bored with E's, which is another reason I'm kind of shifting away from Guardians, because they're another, give us all the E maps.
Well,
like, we want E's. Just run down the middle and shoot people.
So this is a controversial opinion, but I think doing that means you've kind of lost a little bit of creativity with the game.
But I'm just I've got bored with these E's.
But yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about using characters that aren't necessarily meta or playing around with them, and using maps that aren't played around with, because I don't know. I think there's a lot of this is obviously such a personal thing because I like weird shit, but I do think that there's a lot to be said about the versatility of Defenders and the fact that some of the most successful lists, at least for now, yeah, maybe they're E-maps, but then when people start branching out, because they have some bad matchups on E-maps, so you're going to see the rise of some counter meta if they get really good. Oh, well, you're going to see the rise of some counter meta. But yeah, so, when a faction gets good, which I do think we should mention that Defenders, I think they're going to be pretty decent moving forward, competitively speaking. And so when that happens, you'll start to see some counter meta. And I think counter meta against Defenders are lists that are just punchier on E's.
I agree completely.
So we'll see how this goes, but Nick and I are loving this faction. We highly recommend, if you're into Defenders, maybe playing around with them. They're a ton of fun. They can be a bit more technical, so I do encourage you to get, a lot of games in with the same list. Not switching too much around, maybe 1 or 2 characters. That way you can sort of practice how they can be very technical, just like webs. You want to make sure, thing models are in position. You're like pushing and pulling and dealing damage when you need to, which takes a lot of practice, I think. So, yeah. Any final thoughts, Nick? Final
thoughts? I don't think so. I mean, I'd like to revisit Defenders eventually once we've had some more experience with them and we see where they kind of land over the next year. So maybe we'll revisit Defenders. Yeah. We'll have a 2.0 Defenders list, and maybe we'll get Steven on here, Steven Maddox, Doc, to also weigh in.
Yeah, and so in terms of Doc, Mad Doc, he gets really angry. He doesn't really get angry, but so in terms of like kind of next stuff, we've, like we mentioned earlier, Steven's been getting a ton of requests. So we're looking into immediately in the near future, we're going to record again in a few days on basically, I think, the new stuff we'll talk about. All the changes, kind of what that means for MCP, and all the excitement surrounding a lot of the new releases that are coming. There's so much stuff about to come around the corner. We're guessing August is Apocalypse 2, which is next month or in a week.
Did they not announce? I thought they gave the roadmap for dates.
So they gave the roadmap and he wasn't on there. So they gave the roadmap for September. So my guess is he's coming in August. But yeah, we don't really know.
Yeah, that would be real.
But that'd be dope. So, Yeah, so we're going to record sort of, the shift, everything that's kind of happened in the past week or two. We're going to be coming up with some more hobby-based episodes. We've had a few requests for how to start a gaming group, how to like encourage a gaming group, how to build your community. So we'll be doing that probably very soon. And then our next faction will probably be stuff that I'm running.
Yep, probably stuff you're running. We also should touch on Guardians while it's still pretty fresh in my brain. So we've got stuff coming.
Yeah, they're not priority. Yeah, and honestly, we were expecting to record maybe once every 2 weeks, and we've just gotten so many requests that we're really trying to up
right
that,
now,
at least for now.
the hardest thing for us is scheduling times for all of us to get to meet. So once we lock that down, I think you'll have more consistent and frequent episodes from us. But
yeah, I mean, there's technically speaking, it's still been
2 episodes is very consistent. But yeah, definitely goal is 1 episode every 2 weeks, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, we'll probably end up doing more than that. Also, there's a lot of, because scheduling can be tough with 3 people, we've started doing, these like just 2 people, and I need to teach Nick and Steven how to record stuff on their own. So sometimes I don't have to be involved and I can just edit the episodes and stuff. So, but anyways, a lot of exciting content. Thank you for listening to Defenders. And
one more thing.
Oh, you have something?
We do have an Instagram page. So please give us a follow. It is Alive on One on Instagram. No spaces or anything like that. Just Alive on One. And give us a follow and a like and all that stuff.
Yep. And if you have any questions or comments or want to see something, you can also Gmail us at aliveon1@gmail.com. We're still toying. We've actually had a lot of feedback, and our downloads are higher than I expected them to be. So we may have some additional things coming, possibly a website. We've talked about rebranding our logo to get maybe some swag in. So we'll see.
Lots of ideas, and it's just a matter of getting the ball rolling and making them happen. So,
yep. So stay tuned for more information. And as always, Godspeed, Spider-Man.